Why is slowing down the answer? And it is. It is. We are taught to rush. We're taught to speed up, instant gratification, right? Fast food, fast relationships, fast TV shows. And I'm coming from the camp who's like, yes, give it to me now, yesterday. But if you observe the really happy people and the people who have had security their whole life, or maybe for multiple generations, they're walking slowly, they're talking slowly. The people who are accomplished, who are in positions, who have authority, they're walking and talking slowly because they're being intentional. And also, they're not in fear or in lack that it's gonna run out. I need to hurry, I need to do it faster. And I can see and I know when someone is not centered, not grounded, all over the place, scattered. Watch them. They're walking really fast, they're talking really fast. This was me. This was me. And I always say to some people who talk really fast, I say, just talk a little bit slower, because that means people are gonna treat you differently, but you're also gonna feel differently. I was running around, I was trying to achieve everything really fast, get really fast results, right? I would get into extremes. I did not realize that that was coming from survival. That was coming from survival mode, from fear, from trying to survive, from trying to fulfill my basic needs because I never had security, be it emotional, financial, psychological, or any kind of security. And I was trying to just grab onto things. And every time I kept rushing, things kept going badly for me. Things kept happening to me, right? I hate being rushed when I'm getting ready. And I thought that was just my thing. But I realized that the people who were rushing, they were rushing my flow, they're rushing my process, they were rushing what I'm doing. And every time I did, I would hurt myself, right? It's it's something that goes against us, and we're kind of being forced and pushed because there are outside influences, circumstances, and you feel you need those things. You need to do all of those things. And then in our head, there's some sort of carrot dangling in front of us. Then you'll be this, then you'll get this, then you'll be financially secure, then you'll be happy, then you'll be successful. But if you listen to the success stories of either accomplished people, people who were not wealthy and became wealthy, people who accomplished a lot of things, none of them rushed. None of them tried to do it as fast as possible, as quickly as possible. There was a build-up, there was sustainability in the process, right? They were enjoying the process rather than just working for the end goal, which may just lead you to the burnout. And every time I tried to rush, like it was more about the inside rush, not just how fast I was walking, but more like how fast my whole inner system was going. And the faster it was going, the more sick I was getting, the more exhausted I was getting, and the more off-centered I was, the more ungrounded I was. And the more I intentionally slowed down, the more I was able to actually be very conscious and aware of the choices I was making, of decisions that I was making, of the effect that it's going to have, of questioning certain things which I did not question before, of being able to enjoy the process rather than just the result, of actually enjoying the life. Every time I started to rush, I tried to push, I would burn out. I would break down every time. And I could do it, I could persevere up to a certain point because that's not how I'm supposed to live. And I've been reprogramming my mind, my body, my whole system for years now. Intentionally slowing down, physically actually slowing down every action, every move, but the inside process. Just trying to get to your goals, trying to get the results that you want. Just intentionally slowing down. And this is such a cliche, but when I do, every time that I do, I unload a lot of things and responsibilities off my plate, I'm able literally just enjoy the smell of the flowers, to actually stop to smell them, watch the butterflies flying around, notice them, notice all the little animals running around. When I'm rushing, I notice nothing because it's just big chaos. And I see this time and time and time again with people. But just really observe the people who are content or fulfilled or happy, successful, accomplished, whatever is the example. How do they behave? How do they act? How do they go on about life? And more, observe their thought process, their movement process, decision making process. Are they trying to run and go as fast as possible from one place to another one? And there could be exceptions, but it's more exception than the rule. They're just slower, intentional, because then you're reprogramming your whole body, your whole system, not to survival, but more just to living, to sustainable living, to fulfillment, to happiness, whatever it is that you want. And in survival and lack, we are working and living on the belief that if I don't get it as fast as possible, or I don't do this, or I don't get this, then something bad is going to happen. I'm not going to have the safety, the security, the home, the relationships, the happiness, the health. But actually, it's the opposite. As crazy as it sounds, it's the opposite. Every time I've intentionally slowed down more and more, and I know I was the person who was always running around. I worked 3 jobs at one point. I worked 80, 90 hours a week, and really high-paced jobs as well, not relaxing jobs. And I remember there was a time when I would wake up on Friday and from 8 a.m. and I would start working at 9 a.m. and I would stop working at 6 a.m. on Saturday. It was like a whole, I think, or maybe 5 a.m. I would get back. It was a whole 20 hours at least of just pure straight working. And where did that lead me? To getting sick, chronically ill, and really chronically ill to a point where I was sitting at my desk and I was getting nauseous, sick, and I would not stop throwing up for 48 hours for the whole weekend. And I changed my whole life, my whole everything. And it all broke down even before that, but then I intentionally changed because I was like, that's not the way to live. And now, in comparison to how it used to be when I lived in London, in central London, in Dubai, in Ibiza, in just many really fast-paced places, I live, for what I used to think, a very boring or slow life, but it's very intentional of how I built this life, very intentional. And it's because I rewired my whole central nervous system from chaos, because that's where I was brought up in, and that's where I've grown up in, to peace and calm. And I've also very intentionally been doing that. But slowing down is a big part of that. It doesn't mean that you get less done. It just means that there's so much less chaos inside of you and your life that you're very intentional about what you're doing. And the people who I see are really fast and doing so many things, and even told me, my dad even told me, he was like, it looks like the whole day I've been moving and running around and I didn't get anything done. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I've been laying around all day. I've got really big project done, a whole event that I'm hosting and so many people. Just one of the examples of just when we do less, we can actually have better and bigger results because we're more intentional. It doesn't mean that you have to do less. It's just you have to become more intentional about where you're going, how you're going, what you're doing. But more and more women are waking up to it because so many women are chronically sick or have become or have been, and they realize they have to slow down. They have to slow down. And rushing and being stressed is not the answer to whatever the question is. And each year I slow down more and more and more. But once again, it doesn't mean I get less results or less done. But I focus a lot more on rest, a lot more on being very clear on clarity and what I want and where I'm going, what am I doing this for, of actually enjoying my life for the however many mornings I've been reading in bed since the moment that I've woken up, and not just getting out of bed and getting the whole list that I need to do as I used to do, and just walking my puppy as the first thing. And my puppy has adjusted and adapted. As before, he was trying to wake me up at 9 a.m. And now he's adjusted where we wake up, we play, we have some happy time with him. He kisses me, and then I go on reading my book. He goes to sleep a little bit more, and then we go outside. And then I have my breakfast brunch, and just more intentional. Then we walk to the beach. Then I clear my energy, I focus, and then I come back and I do some work or creativity. It depends on what day it is. I also go with the cycles. I don't expect to be at the same energy level every single day or push through it, because that's just not normal for women. That's not how women are wired, and that's not how it should be. Just if you go off the hormone cycle, it just doesn't make sense for a woman that she would have energy every single day on the same level. That's not how it is. I'm not sure if you know this, but women go off 28-day hormone cycle and men go off 24-hour hormone cycle. So for them, it resets every morning and they have testosterone every morning. Whereas for women, they only have it for a few days out of those 28 days. And it kind of keeps running down. We need to be very conscious and aware of how energy works, of how our energy works specifically, of how our body works, what my needs are. When I take care of my needs but very well, I'm centered, I'm grounded. That means I'm even more intentional. That means I have a lot more clarity, and I enjoy everything a lot more. I'm a lot more fulfilled, content, and just the luxury of being able to go to the beach, just sit down, just enjoy the sun. For a person who's living a fast life, that's not a thing. That's a very rare occasion, and that's used to be me, and just on holidays. And even then, it was difficult to switch off. And now, even when I'm filming this, I'm looking at a forest, at a pine tree forest. Behind me is a beach, a sea. You may hear the waves. The sunshine is right on my face, because this is the life that I've been creating intentionally. And it was a product of me slowing down, which I talk a lot about, but also you get a clarity, become intentional. And that's part of also prioritizing yourself and taking care of your needs and your energy. Just a slower pace of life, because we've been programmed to believe if you live slower, you'll have less. It's the exact opposite. Just observe the really wealthy families or the accomplished people or the success stories, how they live, what they do, how they talk, and that will become clear. I've studied this since I was very little. I was always very curious. I was always reading autobiographies or biographies, or just various case studies of very interesting or accomplished people. And they're not rushing around like a headless chicken, as the metaphor that I love to use. But yeah, just a different way of experiencing life. A different way of experiencing life when you're grounded and you're centered. It doesn't mean that you always know the answer of what's going to happen, but it means that you surrender, you're okay with whatever comes your way. But you're also doing or building or creating however, whatever you want, because it is part about the process, not just the end goal. I really wish for you to have a look at your life and see what would slowing down be able to give you. What could be slowed down? What could you slow down? How could you slow down in your life? Physically, mentally, emotionally, with your choices, with how much you have on in your life. It's just about quality of life. Do you want the quality of life? Is that important for you? You decide. That is very important for me. It doesn't mean that I'm sacrificing certain things. It just means that I'm choosing to do things very differently and very intentionally to make sure that I'm going in the direction that I want to go and in the way that I want to go. And that's what I'm going to wish for you. Thank you for watching this.